All right, so given on the screen here, we have an arithmetic sequence. The reason I know that is because it's just adding 5 each time. And if you're adding something or subtracting something, that's arithmetic. And so I looked up the arithmetic formula to find u sub 20, and that's the formula. So I'm going to stick the numbers in the right spots. u1 is the first number, and that's right there, so it's 2. And then n, that's the n number, that's 20. All right, and the d is the common difference. That's the plus 5 here. So there's a 5 there. And now I go 19 times 5 using my calculator. That's the order I'd do it in. 19 times 5 first, and then plus 2. And I get 97. Raise your hand if you had 97. Awesome. Now what if I had told you the 97? That's the advanced problems. Like most of you guys will get this right, and that's to get a C in this class, that's all you'll be able to do. Like what I just did, that's like C-level stuff. But to get the A, you'll have to answer 3 out of 4 hard questions right. If I had said, the answer's 97, where would you have stuck it in the formula? Right there. You would have said 97 equals, and then maybe we didn't know what the first term was, and we just leave this as U1, plus 20 minus 1 times 5. You get how this one, I'd have to solve for U1, and you could. And you'd end up figuring out it was 2 by solving the equation. So if you give them the answer, it goes here. If they give you u sub 1, you put it there. If they give you the n, it goes there. That's where the d goes. But that's where the answer would go. All right, here's another tricky one. I tell you the first number is 2. I tell you the next number is 3.5. But I don't give you a third number. Do you get that maybe they added something? Or maybe they multiplied by something? Would you please tell me, if it's the kind of problem that has a D, what's D? If it's the kind of problem that has an R, what's R? Then I'll tell you which one it was. But figure out, what if it's the kind that has a common difference? What if it's the kind that has a common ratio? And I know some of you are going to get the difference but aren't going to get the ratio. And I'll explain it in a minute, but this is kind of the difference between the A students and the C students, is knowing how to do the R here. D's not hard. It comes down to what the words mean. Difference, the difference between two numbers is you just subtract. What's the R stand for? Some people think it's rate, but technically it's not rate. Do you know what the R stands for? Ratio. So, how many of you knew that we needed to take 3.5 divided by 2? A fair number of you, but not that many. 3.5 divided by 2 is 1.75. That means if you did it as a ratio, I got that from 3.5 divided by 2. You do this one divided by that one. The difference, that's really easy. You just think to yourself, what could I add? And you could add 1.5. If it was a difference, it was adding 1.5. If it was a ratio, it was 1.75. Does that make sense to you? Okay, now I'm going to say it was definitely the R one. It was a common ratio. So is that geometric or arithmetic? The kind that has a ratio, is that arithmetic or geometric? Geometric, good. So then I'm going to look up a formula off the geometric one. And that formula goes like this. Just copy it down. U1 parentheses R to the n and a minus 1 down here, not in the power, all over R minus 1. Did I tell you U1? Yeah. Did I tell you the R for this problem? Yeah, I mean, I even wrote it on the board there. It says R equals 1.75. To the n, have I told you what number of terms I want to do yet? No. But if I tell you that, you can figure out the answer, right? Okay, I want you to add up the first 5 terms. This is the right formula for the adding up the sum of the first 5 terms. This will definitely be one you put on the calculator. And even though you're using the right formula, because I gave you the right formula, nobody's going to mess that up. A lot of people are going to put this in the calculator wrong. I'll warn you, here's the order. I would do this first. I'd do this second. Then I would times it by the U1. And then I'd make sure I get the answer, like hit equals to make sure you got the answer. Then this is the last thing I would do is to divide by that. And so let's see who's got the calculator part down. Okay, type that puppy into your calculator and then we'll see if you get the same thing that I do. And if you don't, it's really critical to fix it right now. So I'll be walking around to check and see. I would have did that highlighted part first, the 1.75 to the 5th. And let's see what you got. Okay, so what does it tell you that when I walked around, even though we all knew what numbers to type in, there was at least 8 people who had the wrong answer. These are tricky to type into your calculator, so be extra careful. And anyway, I think that's enough on that. I'm going to now hand out the practice test, and you are going to be today doing this with a partner, because I believe that that will give you an increased probability of actually getting help when you get stuck and getting these right. Okay, so I'm going to hand them out to clumps of 2 people. These 2 rows, which you please side next to each other, Aurelia, you're going to grab your stuff and get up and move it to a different spot. I'm going to move you to right there. And we'll have a partner. And let's see this. August. Yeah. August and yesterday. Oh, okay. So I'm just going to grab your partner. Move up here for today. That way you have a partner. Okay, and these 2 rows. Wait a minute, no, I'm wrong. I'm screwed up. My bad. Just wait. Now these 2 rows are ready. Slide these next to each other. Groups. And have you 2 are going to work together. And now, here comes your practice test.
I know. Like, you know, like the English ones have it like this. Yeah. Well, I don't have a choice, but
I agree. Do 1 question at a time and check it. If you guys end up like getting way apart from each other because one person works twice as fast, it's not going to be good. Do a problem, talk it over, check each other, then go to the next question. Do them 1 at a time. So I need you to get a partner now. I'll figure that out in a second. If we're on the test start on. This is power 2. Wow. I kind of wish it was just a partner test and you were going to be done like right now today. Just slide over a little bit further and you guys get together. Okay. Now there's a couple of typos. We decided not to reprint for everybody because number 1, I only noticed the typo like 10 minutes before class. And number 2, it would have wasted all this paper. So change this to U sub 22. That's what they ask in the question. This should say U sub 22 right there. And the same in the next one. It says U11 in the problem, but U13 down here. Make it U11. So U22 just to match the question, and U11 to match the question. And I think that's the only typos, but you guys might find it if there's more.
That's not
Okay, I have a hot tip for you. A lot of kids have asked me about this, so I better tell you. On problem 8, listen please, and just see if you guys did it right. Maybe you aren't there yet, but if you get to problem 8, a lot of people are like, well, Mr. Server, what's happening is they're going down by 3, so I'm going to divide by 3. There's no such thing in these kinds of sequences. If you want to divide by 3, your R is 1/3. And do you remember me saying that this divided by that, 60 divided by 180, that's not 3, that's 1/3. Your R for this problem is 1/3.
No, I did.
I know it's divide by 3, but the question isn't that. The question is what you do times by. Times by 1/3. Your R is this divided by this, which is 1/3. Okay, the other thing I get asked a lot is in problem 9. And on problem 9, people are like, well, it was 2005, and then it's 2013. What number do I use? Do I use 2013? No. How many years is that? 8. Use 8 years for that problem. You're finding the U sub 8. Okay. These are the tricky ones, and this will be the kind of difference that we have between the A's and the B's, the people that can figure this out. Next tip I want to give you is on problem 11. A strong recommend put out all the blanks and go, there's 14 here. So make blanks for 11 and 12. It'll really be helpful to put blanks out. All right, that's enough for now. Take a second to give you some coaching on problem 10. If you use the S sub n formula, that's the wrong formula. You don't want to use that for number 10. Why? Because if I had Minnetonka's population right now is about 55,000 people. Last year, Minnetonka's population is like 54,000 people. Would it make even any sense to add Minnetonka's population last year to Minnetonka's population this year? That doesn't make any sense. You never add up all last year's people plus this year's people because most of them are the same people. Okay, so you would not use the sum formula. You should be using the U sub n formula on problem 10. All right, any other problems you want to ask about? All right, I'll give you some more time to work. We'll be done here soon and I'll release the key. I would definitely make blanks on problem 15. And realize that it's arithmetic on problem 15. Like you're adding something to go to each little spot. Okay, so 15 is arithmetic. That's another tip. So this is the part where we're near the end. If you want to trade your calculator back in for your stuff you left behind, like your cell phone or whatever, that'd be good. And we are going to take one more day to practice tomorrow. And then the test will be Thursday. Take this really serious tonight, though. When you do your homework, because the test is just like this. These are really good practices for the test. So look over the key really close.